For years, Blockbuster didn't just rent movies. It controlled an entire industry, millions of customers, thousands of stores, total dominance, and yet, within a few years, it all collapsed. This is the story of how one of the most powerful companies in entertainment history lost everything. Welcome to Corporate Collapse. The story of Blockbuster. In the late 1990s, one company controlled how the world watched movies. On a Friday night, its blue and yellow logo was everywhere. Today, that empire has been reduced to a single store and a cautionary tale. Blockbuster was not just a video rental chain. It was a cultural ritual. Families planned their weekends around it. Streets slowed down on Friday evenings as cars lined up outside its stores. For a generation, Blockbuster decided what people watched, when they watched it, and how much they paid for it. The company began with a simple but powerful idea. In 1985, Blockbuster opened its first store with something competitors did not have: scale. While small local video shops carried a few hundred tapes, Blockbuster offered thousands. Bright lighting, wide aisles, and a standardized layout made customers feel comfortable and in control. It felt modern. It felt inevitable. As the chain expanded, its advantage became overwhelming. Blockbuster used data to decide which movies to stock and how many copies to buy. Popular films were everywhere. New releases dominated entire walls. Smaller competitors could not match the selection, the pricing power, or the brand recognition. By the mid-1990s, Blockbuster had become the global leader in home entertainment rentals. Its growth was explosive. Thousands of stores opened across the United States and then around the world. The brand became synonymous with movie night. Studios depended on Blockbuster to distribute their films. Customers trusted it without question. From the outside, it looked unbreakable. But beneath that dominance, a dangerous dependency was forming. A large portion of Blockbuster's profits did not come from renting movies. They came from late fees. Customers paid penalties for returning tapes after the due date. These fees were deeply unpopular, but they were enormously profitable. Instead of fixing the problem, Blockbuster built its business around it. This decision shaped the company's mindset. Blockbuster optimized for short-term revenue rather than long-term loyalty. The stores were not designed to make renting easier. They were designed to enforce deadlines. Customers complained, but they kept coming. For years, the model seemed to work. Then, quietly, the market began to shift. In the late 1990s, DVD technology replaced VHS tapes. DVDs were smaller, cheaper to ship, and more durable. This change opened the door to new business models. One of them came from a small startup that proposed something radical: no late fees. Movies delivered directly to your home. Watch them at your own pace. Blockbuster noticed Netflix early. In fact, Blockbuster executives met with Netflix leadership when the company was still small. Netflix even suggested a partnership or acquisition. Blockbuster declined. To them, Netflix was not a real threat. It had no stores, no brand recognition, no physical presence. Blockbuster believed its size was its shield. But that size was also its weakness. Every Blockbuster store came with rent, staff, inventory, and maintenance costs. The entire system was built around physical locations. Changing direction would mean admitting that the core of the business was becoming obsolete. Instead of adapting, Blockbuster tried to protect what it already had. As Netflix slowly grew, Blockbuster doubled down on its existing model. It focused on expanding stores and negotiating better deals with studios. It experimented with DVDs, but always within the same store-based framework. The company did not want to abandon late fees, because doing so would destroy a major revenue stream. The warning signs were there, but they were easy to ignore. Revenue was still high. Stores were still busy. The brand was still powerful. Internally, there was little urgency. Innovation felt unnecessary when dominance felt permanent. Then came the moment that changed everything. In the mid-2000s, Netflix introduced a subscription model that allowed customers to rent DVDs by mail with no due dates. People loved it. The experience was simple. The pricing was predictable. The frustration of late fees disappeared overnight. Customers began to leave Blockbuster, not in a dramatic wave, but quietly, one by one. Blockbuster responded, but too late and too cautiously. It introduced its own mail-based subscription service. It experimented with removing late fees. But every change conflicted with its existing stores. Franchise owners pushed back. Executives hesitated. The company tried to run two incompatible models at once. At the same time, another shift was coming. Streaming technology began to emerge. Netflix invested heavily in it, even when it was unprofitable. Blockbuster dismissed it as niche and unreliable. Streaming did not fit into a business built on physical inventory and retail locations. By the time Blockbuster took streaming seriously, the game was already lost. Costs began to overwhelm revenue. Stores closed, but closing them reduced visibility and customer access. Debt mounted. The brand that once felt unstoppable now felt outdated. Customers no longer planned movie nights around Blockbuster. They barely thought about it at all. In 2010, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy. Thousands of stores disappeared. Employees lost their jobs. An empire that had dominated global entertainment collapsed with shocking speed. The fall felt sudden, but the causes had been years in the making. The most important lesson of Blockbuster's collapse is not about technology. It is about mindset. Blockbuster did not fail because it missed a single innovation. It failed because it was unwilling to question the foundations of its own success. Late fees, physical stores, and short-term profits were treated as untouchable. Every new idea was evaluated based on how well it fit the old model, instead of whether the old model still made sense. The company could have acted differently. It had the brand. It had a customer base. It had the industry relationships. Blockbuster could have acquired Netflix early and integrated its model. It could have embraced subscriptions aggressively, even if it meant sacrificing late fee revenue. It could have closed stores earlier and redirected resources into digital distribution. But doing so would have required courage. It would have required leadership willing to disrupt itself before someone else did. Blockbuster also suffered from internal complexity. Decision-making was slow. Franchise structures limited flexibility. Innovation became a threat rather than an opportunity. By the time executives agreed that change was necessary, the cost of change was too high. The deeper lesson is universal. Success creates comfort. Comfort creates blindness. When a company becomes dominant, it starts defending its past instead of designing its future. The very systems that once made it powerful begin to trap it. Blockbuster believed customers would always want the same experience, delivered in the same way. It underestimated how quickly convenience can rewrite habits. It underestimated how much people value simplicity. And it underestimated how fast loyalty disappears when a better option appears. Today, the name Blockbuster still exists, but only as a memory. A symbol of a moment in time when control felt absolute and change felt optional. Its story is not unique. It is a pattern repeated across industries and decades. The rise and fall of Blockbuster reminds us that no company is ever truly invincible. Market leadership is temporary. Technology never stops, and the most dangerous competitor is not the one you can see. but the one you choose not to take seriously. In the end, Blockbuster did not lose because it was too small or too weak. It lost because it was too confident in a world that was already moving on. Blockbuster's collapse wasn't caused by a lack of resources or opportunity. It failed because it protected its past instead of building its future. In a world that never stops changing, success can become the greatest risk of all. Because no company is too big to fail. And every empire, sooner or later, faces the moment where adaptation is no longer optional. This was corporate collapse.